Dear children, hope all of you are keeping fine in the safety of your home. Welcome to Whiteboard English class. Today, we discuss the lesson Project Tiger. It's the first lesson in the second unit. It is an article written by Satyajit Ray, and we may look at his profile. Who is Satyajit Ray? He was an Indian filmmaker. He was drawn into independent filmmaking after meeting French filmmaker Jean Renier and viewing Vittorio de Sica's Italian neo-realist 1948 film Bicycle Thieves. He directed 36 films, including feature films, documentaries, and short films. He was also a fiction writer, publisher, illustrator, calligrapher, music composer, and film critic. He has also authored several short stories and novels. This is about the author Satyajit Ray. You may not be asked much questions regarding the author in your question papers. At the time of examination, you may not be asked much questions about the author. But just to understand about the author, we may discuss this profile. Okay. Now we straightly go to the lesson Project Tiger. I told you this is an article. It's not a story or drama or something else. This is an article. This article is about how Satyajit Ray managed to shoot a film which included a tiger. Means he wanted to produce a film and that film included a tiger. Today, we may think it easy to include birds and animals in a film. That means we can do it using modern technologies. We need not use the actual tiger or birds in the film. But using the technologies, we may add these kinds of animals, birds, etc. in a film. It's very easy. But years back, some 50 years back, it was very difficult, it was very dangerous to include a tiger in a film. But somehow, this brilliant film producer managed to shoot the film using a tiger. And in this lesson, Project Tiger, he tells us how he managed to shoot that film using the tiger. Here, I will read and explain each and every paragraph in this lesson. I will read and explain each and every paragraph in this lesson. I will tell you the meanings of difficult or unfamiliar words in the paragraph. Your duty is, children, your duty is, make open your notebook and while we are discussing the lesson, you write down the words, means the unfamiliar words or difficult words and their meanings in your notebook. You should write down the difficult words and their meanings in your notebook. Okay, we may start the lesson. You look at the first paragraph. No one can beat Hollywood when it comes to making films with animals in them. I remember films in my childhood, and there were quite a few of them that had an Alsatian called Rin Tin Tin. This dog's acting was more impressive than a human's. Later, we got to see 3 or 4 other films with a collie called Lassie. It seemed that the director could make Lassie do just about anything. These trained dogs were famous stars in their own rights. And the money they earned was no less than what a real film star got. Their owners could easily make as much as 100,000 rupees from just one film. What do you understand from this paragraph? That means there were some films which included animals in them. Some examples are given. A dog, Alsatian, called Rin Tin Tin. It was an example. Another one is collie. Collie is the another dog called Lassie. Its name is Lassie. And there are not much difficult words in this paragraph. Okay, we may pass over to the next paragraph. I realized how reverently these animal actors were treated when I happened to see the shooting of a film 20 years ago in Disney Studio in Hollywood. The main character in this film was a large dog. I reached the studio to find that the shooting had not yet started. The cameraman was getting the lights ready. It's customary for actors to be present when the lights are arranged, for they have to show the cameraman how they will walk or where they will stand in a particular shot. In the case of very famous stars, this job is done by their stand-ins. A stand-in is usually a person who is physically similar to the real star. The stars themselves arrive only when the lights are ready and it is time to take a shot. We may discuss this paragraph. The difficult words, I think, first one is reverently. Reverently means respectfully. The meaning is given in your textbook itself. And another word is customary. Customary means it is something habitual. That means commonly happened, usually happened. That is customary. സാധാരണ സംഭവിക്കുന്നത്. And not much words, I think. Okay. And what do you understand from this paragraph? That means these in some films there were some animal actors. Some animal actors, just like human actors, there were some animal actors. And in this paragraph, the author says what? These animal actors were treated just like human actors. Now we see a lot many actors are the famous actors are the Mammootty, Mohanlal, etc. And these animal actors also were treated like they were considered like human actors. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ആൾക്കാരായിട്ടുള്ള മനുഷ്യരായിട്ടുള്ള ആക്ടേഴ്സിനെ പോലെ തന്നെ ട്രീറ്റ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നു ആരെയും ഈ മൃഗങ്ങളെയും അതായത് ഈ ഡോഗ്സ് ഇതുപോലുള്ള മൃഗങ്ങളെയും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ട്രീറ്റ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നു. Another point he talks in this tells in this paragraph is they were paid much money. That means these animal actors were paid much money. And another thing we understand from this paragraph is stand-ins. What is a stand-in? Stand-in എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ സാധാരണ ആക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നതിന് പകരം ഡമ്മി ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്നതിനാണ് നമ്മൾ എന്താ പറയുന്നത് സ്റ്റാൻഡ്-ഇൻ. അതിൻ്റെ ഡെഫിനിഷൻ കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. എ സ്റ്റാൻഡ്-ഇൻ ഈസ് യൂഷ്വലി എ പേഴ്സൺ ഹു ഈസ് ഫിസിക്കലി സിമിലർ ടു ദ റിയൽ സ്റ്റാർ. സാധാരണ റിയൽ സ്റ്റാറിന് പകരം ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന ഡമ്മി എന്ന് മനസ്സിലാക്കുക ഞങ്ങൾ. ഓക്കെ, വി പാസ് ഓവർ ടു ദ നെക്സ്റ്റ് പാരഗ്രാഫ്. Here in Disney Studio, I noticed that a few actors were moving about in the set, and on one side, standing quietly, was the protagonist, the same large dog. The cameraman shouted to everyone to take their positions, but the dog remained where it was. This puzzled me. Could it be that it was not required in the next shot? Okay, look at the paragraph. Some words. Protagonist, who is sometimes may be asked in your question paper. Protagonist, who is a protagonist? The main character. Protagonist means the main character. And another word is puzzled. Puzzled here means confused. And what do you understand from this paragraph? That means when I went to Disney Studio, there were some actors, and among them there was the protagonist, the main character in that film. It was a large dog, and he was puzzled. That means Satyajit Ray was puzzled. He was confused when the shooting started. The dog was remaining calm and quiet. That means it was not doing or acting anything. It puzzled me, it confused me, and I doubted whether this dog was not included in this film. Okay, children, now look at fourth paragraph. Before I could ask someone, a strange thing happened. From nowhere appeared a little dwarf, followed by another man carrying a hairy dog skin. Then, to my perfect amazement, the dwarf went down on all the fours on a chalk mark on the floor, just like an animal, and the dog skin was draped over him. Then he crawled from one mark to another, and the cameraman got busy with the lights. It finally dawned upon me that this dwarf was paid to be the dog's stand in. Now look at the words, new words in the paragraph. Dwarf. In the second line you can see dwarf. What is dwarf? Dwarf means a short person. നമ്മൾ സർക്കസിലൊക്കെ കാണുന്ന പോലെയുള്ള കുള്ളന്മാർ, ഹൈറ്റ് കുറഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ളവർ. Dwarf. Another one is draped. Draped means covered. Means this dwarf's body was covered with a dog skin. Another word is dawned upon me. Dawned upon me means he could understand. It finally dawned upon me means it became clear to me, or I understood. That's a word meaning. Okay, what do you understand from this paragraph? He went to the shooting location and he could see a dwarf, a short person. His body was covered with a dog skin, and he went on his force. Went on his force means he was standing on two legs plus two hands. Just like a dog, he was standing on the floor. And finally, our author understood that it was the stand-in of the dog. The dog was the actual actor, but this dwarf, this short person was the stand-in of the dog. That is the meaning of the paragraph. Now the fifth paragraph. Every animal in a Hollywood film is well trained. It's not difficult to train a horse or a dog, but have you ever heard of trained ravens? Not just one or two, but nearly 100 of them. Even this was made possible in Hollywood, when the creator of some of the best suspense films in the history of cinema, Alfred Hitchcock, decided to make a film called Birds. In the story, birds from all over the world start attacking humans. Hitchcock needed a variety of birds, but what was required in the largest number was ravens. Notices were placed in the press all over the United States, asking people to contact the filmmaker if they knew how to get hold of trained ravens. Look at the difficult words. One is ravens. Ravens. What is a raven? Raven is a type of large type of crow. The bird crow, CROW. Raven. നമ്മൾ മലങ്കാക്ക എന്നൊക്കെ പറയുന്ന. Another word is, okay, not much words, new words in the paragraph. Okay, what do you understand from this paragraph? Here he talks about Alfred Hitchcock. He was a famous filmmaker, suspense filmmaker. Alfred Hitchcock. He produced a film. The name of the film was Birds. And in that film, Alfred Hitchcock needed a lot of birds. Birds were actors in that film. And these birds should be well trained. And how could he get those birds? That is what is mentioned in the paragraph. What did he do to get trained ravens? Okay, Alfred Hitchcock, in the last sentence it says, notices were placed in the press all over the United States. I means in United States he placed notices all over the press. ഇവിടെ പ്രസ് എന്ന് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് മാധ്യമങ്ങളിൽ അയാൾ പരസ്യം ഒരു ആഡ് ഇട്ടു. അതിലൂടെയാണ് അയാൾക്ക് ഈ ട്രെയിൻഡ് റേവൻസിനെ കിട്ടിയത് എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത് ഈ പാരഗ്രാഫിൽ. Now the sixth paragraph. Someone replied within a few days. He was asked to bring his birds, and he arrived with almost 100 trained ravens. Admittedly, their training had not gone very bad. That is to say, they could not do anything that might be seen as extraordinary. But if as many as 50 ravens are told to perch quietly in a row on a specified spot, and if they obey this command instantly, isn't that pretty impressive? Here, some words. Admittedly. Admittedly means, admit means agree. Means I agree that. Author says, I agree that their training had not gone very bad. That means the training of the birds. were not bad. It was not bad, means it was well trained. They were well trained. Another word is perch. Perch quietly in a row. Perch means to sit or to land, land. Land means birds were asked to sit in a line, in a queue, or in a row, and they obeyed the command. That is a perch. And lastly, it says pretty impressive. Isn't that pretty impressive? Here, author asks a question. That means if we are asking the birds to sit in a line, in a queue, they will do it. And if they are doing it, isn't it pretty impressive? He asks. Pretty impressive means, isn't it? Pretty means very, pretty, very good, etc. Pretty impressive, pretty, very attractive, very good, etc. That is the meaning of. Next, the seventh paragraph. Needless to say, in our own country, it's not at all easy to find trained animals, although some films have been made in Bombay and Madras that involved working with elephants, horses, and tigers. Their performance did suggest that they were used to obeying commands. In Bengal, it is sometimes possible to find clever dogs, particularly police dogs, which are quite intelligent. If one is prepared to be patient, it is not altogether impossible to get good performances out of them, as we managed to do with Bhulo in Pader Panchali. Okay, look at the new words. There are not much, there are not much words, difficult words in this paragraph. Okay, Bhulo. Bhulo is the name of a dog. Okay, I think not much difficult words. Look at the altogether meaning. What does the author say? Tell in this paragraph. That means it was very easy to find trained animals, but in some films produced in Bombay and Madras, there were he gives some example. In those films, there were elephants, horses, tigers, etc. And these animals were obeying the commands of the that means their owners, sometimes the ringmasters, etc. Okay, and another point he says is, in some films they could see, in films produced in Bengal, they could find some clever dogs, intelligent dogs, especially they were police dogs. And another example also he gives in the last line. It is the name of a dog called Bhulo, the dog Bhulo in Pader Panchali. Pader Panchali is, we know, the film. Okay, now you look at the eighth paragraph. Yet, a dog might be difficult, not impossible to handle. What was one supposed to do if there was need of a tiger in a film? We had to deal with this problem too when we were shooting Goopy Gain Bhagabain. In the film, Goopy, who is banished by the king, wanders in the forest, meets Bhaga, who is also been banished. They see a tiger and freeze, but the tiger simply walks about in the forest without paying them the slightest attention. Look at the paragraph. Okay, I think you might have understood the paragraph. Here in this paragraph he says, means in the previous paragraph, in earlier paragraphs, he talked about using dogs, birds, etc. in a film up to 7th paragraph. But in this 8th paragraph, our author talks about including a tiger in a film. Here he comes with the point, what? Including a tiger in a film. He wanted to shoot a film called, the name of the film is Goopy Gain Bhagabain. That was the name of the film he wanted to produce. And in that film, what happens in that film? What is the story? In the film, Goopy, who is banished by the king. Banished എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നാട് കടത്തുക. ഗൂപ്പിയും ആൻഡ് ഭഗ, ഇതാണ് രണ്ട് ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സ്, യങ്സ്റ്റേഴ്സ് ആണ്, രണ്ട് യങ്സ്റ്റേഴ്സ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ആൾക്കാരാണ്. ഇവർ രണ്ടുപേരെയും നാട് കടത്തപ്പെട്ടവരാണ്. Goopy banished by the king and he wanders in the forest and he meets Bhaga, who was also been banished. Bhaga മറ്റൊരു ഭാഗത്തു നിന്നും നാടുകടത്തപ്പെട്ട മറ്റൊരു ക്യാരക്ടർ. ഈ രണ്ട് ക്യാരക്ടേഴ്സും ഈ ഫോറസ്റ്റിൽ തമ്മിൽ മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യാണ്. ഇവിടെയാണ് നമ്മുടെ ഈ ഫിലിമിൻ്റെ ഷോട്ട് വരുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ അവർ രണ്ടുപേരും മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. ആ സമയത്താണ് അവരെന്താക്കുന്നത്, ദേ സീ എ ടൈഗർ ആൻഡ് ഫ്രീസ്. രണ്ടുപേരും ഒരു ടൈഗറെ കാണുകയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഫ്രീസ് മീൻസ് ദേ ബിക്കെയിം ഫ്രോസൺ. ഫ്രീസർ കേട്ടിട്ടില്ലേ? ഫ്രീസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ആ തണുത്ത് ഉറഞ്ഞു പോയി, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ അവരാകെ പേടിച്ച് വിറച്ചുപോയി എന്നർത്ഥം. ആൻഡ് ബട്ട് ദ ടൈഗർ സിംപ്ലി വാക്സ് അബൌട്ട് ഇൻ ദ ഫോറസ്റ്റ്. ഇതാണ് ഇതിലുള്ള സീന്. ഭഗയും ഗോപിയും തമ്മിൽ മീറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. അവർ രണ്ടുപേരും ഒരു ടൈഗറെ കാണുന്നു ഫോറസ്റ്റിൽ നിന്ന്. പക്ഷേ ടൈഗർ ഇവർ രണ്ടുപേരെയും ശ്രദ്ധിക്കുന്നില്ല. വിത്തൗട്ട് പേയിങ് ദം ദ സ്ലൈറ്റസ്റ്റ് അറ്റൻഷൻ. ലാസ്റ്റ് സെൻറ്റൻസ്. സ്ലൈറ്റസ്റ്റ് അറ്റൻഷൻ മീൻസ് ഒരു ശ്രദ്ധയും അവരുടെ ഭാഗത്ത് കൊടുക്കാതെ ടൈഗറുടെ ഭാഗത്ത് നടന്നു പോകുന്നു. That is what is mentioned in this 8th paragraph. Children, today we have discussed 8 paragraphs of the lesson Project Tiger. Now you look at the questions given in your textbook. We will discuss the questions and answers. What you have to do is you should copy down the questions and the answers in your notebook. You should write down the questions and answers in your notebook. While we are discussing, you can write the answers in your textbook, but after all, you have to copy down the questions and answers in your notebook. The first question is, do you know that a paragraph normally contains a topic sentence in it? It's general in nature and can be anywhere in the paragraph. The other sentence in the paragraph support, prove, give examples and present additional information on the topic sentence. ഇത് എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളൊരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ആണ്. ഇതിൽ പറയുന്നത്, ഒരു പാരഗ്രാഫ് നമ്മൾ എടുക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അതിൽ ഒരു ടോപ്പിക് സെൻറ്റൻസ് ഉണ്ടായിരിക്കും. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ഏറ്റവും ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സെൻറ്റൻസ്. പിന്നെ ആ സെൻറ്റൻസിനെ പ്രൂവ് ചെയ്യുക, സപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുക, അതിന് എക്സാമ്പിൾസ് നൽകുക എന്നതൊക്കെ ആയിരിക്കും അതിൽ വരുന്ന ബാക്കി സെൻറ്റൻസുകളുടെ ഡ്യൂട്ടി. അതാണ് ഇതിൻ്റെ മീനിങ്. ഐഡൻറ്റിഫൈ ദ ടോപ്പിക് സെൻറ്റൻസ് ഇൻ ദ പാരഗ്രാഫ്. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു ടോപ്പിക് സെൻറ്റൻസ് എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ ഏറ്റവും ഇമ്പോർട്ടൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള സെൻറ്റൻസ്. You have to identify the topic sentence in the first paragraph. The answer is, no one can beat Hollywood that when it comes to making films with animals in them. That means in Hollywood films we can see animals in them, animal actors in them. This is the topic sentence in the first paragraph, and other sentences are supporting this sentence, proving the sentence and giving examples. Okay, next point is, how many examples are given to support the topic sentence and what are they? Answer, 2 examples are given to support the topic sentence. One is the example of an Alsatian called Rin Tin Tin, and the other one is about a dog called Lassie. One is the Alsatian called Rin Tin Tin and another dog called Lassie. Second question, does the second paragraph introduce a new topic sentence? No. Answer is no. If not, what supporting detail about the animal actors of Hollywood do you get from this paragraph? The answer, he describes the shooting of a film in Disney studio in Hollywood. That means that is a supportive, or that is another explanation about the first sentence. So the answer is, he describes the shooting of a film in Disney studio in Hollywood. That is the answer of the second question. And the subordinate question is, what additional information do you get about stand-ins? Answer, a stand-in is usually a person who is physically similar to the real star. The stars themselves arrive only when the lights are ready and it is time to take a shot. Next subordinate question is, What is the puzzling incident described in the paragraph? Puzzling means what surprising or okay, here it is surprising. Answer is the protagonist, the large dog. Protagonist means the main character. The protagonist, the large dog, comma, the large dog, was standing quietly. Quietly means calmly, Q-U-I-E-T-L-Y, quietly, calmly, silently. The cameraman shouted to everyone to take their positions, but the dog remained where it was. This puzzled the author. That means he went to the when he went to the shooting location. There he could see the protagonist. Means the large dog was the protagonist. Okay, but it was not doing anything. It was sitting calm and quiet. This puzzled the author. He was confused. Here the word puzzled means confused also. Puzzled, surprised or confused. Okay. The next question is, subordinate question is, which incident shows that the animal actors in Hollywood were treated with reverence? Reverence means respect. Answer. The animal actors of Hollywood had stand-ins. There was a dwarf to take the role of Lassie. The money they received was the same as famous stars. That is the answer. Okay, second question is over. Now the third question. What were the difficulties Alfred Hitchcock had to face while making the film Birds? Answer. Alfred Hitchcock wanted birds as actors. It was difficult to get trained ravens as actors. These two sentences. Alfred Hitchcock wanted birds as actors, and it was difficult to get trained ravens as actors. Fourth question. How did Hitchcock manage to get a large number of ravens for his film? Answer. He gave notices in the newspapers all over the United States to get trained ravens. He published notices in the newspapers all over the United States to get trained ravens. Next question, fifth one. What is described as pretty impressive? Answer. It was pretty impressive to watch 50 ravens perching quietly in a row, ROW, on a specified. Sorry for the interruption. Look at the fifth answer once again. It was pretty impressive to watch 50 ravens perching quietly in a row on a specified spot, and all of them obeying the commands of the trainer. Now the sixth question. Identify the main topic of the article from paragraph number 8. Answer. Shooting films using tigers. Answer is shooting films using tigers. Now the seventh question. What other details are given about the topic in the paragraph? Answer is the tiger simply walks about in the forest. Full stop. The hero and the heroine get frightened on seeing the tiger. Once again, the tiger simply walks about in the forest. The hero and the heroine get frightened on seeing the tiger. These are the questions regarding the 8 paragraphs we discussed today. You should write down the questions and answers in your notebook. Earlier I have told you should write down the difficult words and their meanings in your notebook. Then only you can understand it, remember the answers at the time of examination. Thank you all. Okay.